Hello, my name is Eszylfie Taylor. I'm president and founder of Taylor Insurance and Financial Services based here in Pasadena. It's interesting, right? I was graduating college, I was 22 years old, and I had one simple modest goal at that time, and that was to become a millionaire by the time I was 25, right? And I figured 3 years was ample time to get there. I had the challenge is I didn't know how I was going to do it. My father's a doctor, PhD. My mother has worked for the federal government for over 45 years, so I had a pretty good upbringing, but I didn't come from an entrepreneurial household, right? There was no roadmap laid out for me on how to be successful. And so by chance, I found my way into this financial services industry, and immediately I took to it because I realized I was paid for my work ethic and my aptitude, not my age or tenure. And so, started again at 22, did okay my first year, a little better, and now as of September 4th marks the start of my 20th year in business. And so it's interesting because I came into this business to make a lot of money and be financially free and do things like that. But today I'm driven by one word, and that's impact. The money that I make is a direct byproduct of me helping people, right? And so I look at it, I say this is one industry where it's okay for me to be greedy because I can't make any money without helping people. Pasadena is an interesting place. I've had the unique privilege of being able to travel all over the country, all over the world, really. And I think Pasadena is such an eclectic place. There's people of varying socioeconomic levels, ethnicities, and so growing up here, from white, black, Hispanic, Armenian, Asian, Indian, you name it, I've encountered them here. I think it made me aware of people and an existence outside of myself. I think Pasadena is unique. There's also a lot of wealth here, and there's a lot of rich heritage here. And while I grew up in I guess what you'd consider a middle class home, right? I saw the finer things. I wanted the finer things, and I feel blessed that I was put in a position and given a platform to be able to earn those things. It really comes down to financial literacy and understanding how the game works, right? You can't win a game if you don't know the rules, right? How many of you could win at a game of rugby, right? Many of you, well, what? The reason you couldn't win is you didn't understand how the game works, right? And so that's the biggest thing I promote for me. It's not so much I tell people, oh, you need to do business with me or buy from me or invest with me, as much as this is how this works. Right? I created a book called Ask the Experts for that very reason. It's a multi-author book. I included chapters with an estate planning attorney, a CPA, a mortgage professional, a realtor, a property casualty insurance agent, because we're asked to make all of these decisions with finance and banking and loans and the like and insurance, yet we're never really told how these things work. Right? And we're making investment allocations with our 401ks that work like this. Like I'll pick, these ones, and we're hoping for the best, and just, without really, coming from a strong place of understanding and more importantly, being educated. And I think that's the thing that I would tell people. Understand how the game works. Surround yourself with people that have actually done well, right? I always say the only people in life telling you not to try or not to do things are people who've never done anything. Right? So surround yourself with people who are doing the things and living the life you want to live, and learn from them, right? I think my clients in particular are the direct benefactors of all of my failures, right? And so after 20 years in business, every way you could lose money, mess up a deal, fall on your face, I've done, right? And more importantly, I've seen others do, right? I think by my estimation, I've had something like 20,000 client meetings in my career, right? So all that information, the perspective, all the lessons that I've learned personally and seeing others, I bring to every client meeting that I have, right? But I always say knowledge without application is useless. I can give people this information, I can open up the door, but you have to use it or it's all for naught. I'm 22 years old, I started in this business. I started a big company, New York Life. I know nothing about life insurance. I know nothing about investments. I know nothing about taxes. I graduated, top of my class with a degree in business, but again, I wasn't ever given this framework. And so I was in the business for about 13 years before I went independent to open my own firm. I'm big on manifestation, so when I went independent, I gave myself a 3-year window. I said 3 years from now, from the time I went independent, I'm going to own my own building. So I purchased a building here on Walnut and Lake in Pasadena. So I don't quite have Taylor Towers, the high rise as of yet, but I do have my own building. My name's on the wall outside. And it's super important, right? I did the math. I was previously renting space at the corporate center here in Pasadena, and I was doing the math with my G's, and over the course of 10 years, I'm going to spend over $1.2 million in rent and have nothing to show for it, right? And so that's why it was very important for me to buy a building, not only for that, what it says and being a fixture in the community, but just economically, right? If I'm gonna grind it out, right? If I'm gonna struggle, every month to make ends meet and to make rent, why not make a mortgage payment and build equity, for myself, right? I always say land is the only thing God's not making more of. They say, right, if you love what you're doing, you're never really working. And I look at what I do for a living. I'm in the business of building relationships with people. I'm in the business of helping people. Sometimes that comes directly through the work I do with financial planning and insurance. Sometimes that may come from an introduction. Sometimes that might come from me giving a helping hand. Sometimes I'm getting a helping hand, right? It's just life, and I'm so, I feel so blessed, and I'm so open to what life has to bring, and cultivating genuine relationships with people and just seeing where that goes. One additional thing we do in the community, my cousin owns a restaurant called Comfort LA, based in downtown. Hands down the best comfort food, not only in LA, but I think in the country. Once a month I will sponsor a free community lunch where I'll buy lunch for people, anyone from the community who wants to come. We typically do that from about 11 to 2, the last Thursday of every month. And it's just, again, it's an opportunity to engage and connect with people in the community. There's no cost, there's no obligation. It's just, again, connecting, giving people some good food and a good experience and an opportunity to connect and network with one another.